Hi and welcome to this tutorial of the knife lanyard. This is quite a complex project which includes several different knotting techniques. It is set up in a way to fit the beads that I designed it for, but you can modify it to whatever you have in mind yourself. So just take what you find useful from this tutorial and do your own version. So here we start with making the core, which is a type 1 paracord that ends actually in a button knot inside this knot. And then we make this Aztec button knot on top of it. We continue with a metal core that I have, and I've made Gaucho interweave on top of that. You can use any core. Here I've made one using a wooden core that comes actually from a parrot toy. Inside this bead there is a rosary knot just to keep it in place. You have to make that whatever suits your bead. And here it's a 2-colored double DNA weave, and I'm ending there with some whipping on the ends just to keep everything together. So we're going to take one knot at a time. So this is what the core looks like. It's about 16 to 18 centimeters long and ending in a diamond knot, or a stopper knot, whatever you want to call it. The size of the length of this core has to fit your knife, but usually if you make it away from the knife, so to speak, separate from the knife, you need to keep enough cord to be able to make a cow's hitch into the lanyard hole of the knife. So here I'm using about 60 centimeters of type 1 cord, finding the middle like this, and then the way I do the diamond knot is that I put my finger in between and make a loop away from myself like this, and put it on top of the other working end here. Then I take this end, go under and through the middle piece of the knot to form this diamond like this. That's why it's called the diamond knot. I continue with the same working end, go under again and up through the middle. Take the other working end, go around the second part of the core and up through the same center of the diamond, and then pull it together and tighten the knot to the length that you want. At this stage you can adjust the length of your core by tightening the knot as you please. Something like this. And as you can see here, it now measures about 16 centimeters, I think it is, which for me makes a very reasonable lanyard for a large knife. Alright, so here for the knotting. Now we can put this aside, the core. We will use it later in the video. You can keep this extra length here on the side, because when we put it on the jig later, that will be useful. So now we're going to go to the second part and make the Aztec button knot. I use about 1.5 meter of 550 cord here, because it makes it easier to make a loose knot and then tighten it. Attach it to your mandrel. I use a 1-inch PVC pipe for this project. Attach it under the elastic band and go around, come over, go around again, and then go under on this side. On the front of the knot, you go over both of the cords, come around, and go under both cords. So now we have a front and a back of the knot. This is the back. Now on the front you go again over all three parallel to the last strand like this, come around and go under all three on this back side here. Under three. Oops. And keep your fingers so to avoid it slipping. And now on the front we go under one and over three. Put your finger there to keep it in place. Come around to the back. And you will go over one and under three. Come to the front again. You go over one, under one, and over three. And try to avoid getting the cord twisted. Come around to the back. You will go under one, and then over one, and under three. Over one and under three. Come around to the front, where we will go over two, under one, and over three. And now on the back side, we go opposite, that is we go under two, over one, and under three. And now for the last pass, we will go over three, 1, 2, 3, under one, and over three. That completes the knot. And now we will push the cord underneath the whole knot to come out on the opposite side, just parallel to the standing end. Like that. Now the knot is finished, and we will transfer it to the stopper knot of the core that we prepared earlier. I remove it from my mandrel. And as you can see, this knot is now quite big for the small stopper knot we made on the core of the lanyard. But that we will fix with the tightening of the Aztec button knot. So I put it inside like this, and then little by little we start tightening. Start from start from the standing end of the Aztec button knot, and slowly pull out all the slack, and by following the same strand all through the knot. My recommendation is you take it step by step and rather do it several times. So I'm just following the knot. I've sped up the video because this takes about 10 minutes for me. So that's one time. Now I'm into the second round of tightening, following the standing end through the knot only. Nothing complicated at all. That's twice, and I will do this a third time to make the knot as tight and smallish as I want it to be. It should really envelop the core and be quite tight in my opinion. Something like this. This is the finished Aztec button knot around the stopper knot of the lanyard core. Now for the other bead on top that will come on top of the Aztec button knot, I take a flat piece of 550, that a gutted piece, no internal cords. It's about, again, you can use a meter and a half, and we will make a Gaucho interweave for this piece. Again, I use my mandrel. And I attach the flat cord like this, and then start weaving, going around, coming around and above, and then go around and over this one as well. Take your fid and go under one, over one. Come around and go under one, over one on this side as well. Under one, over one. And here it's important to make sure you're not twisting the flat cord that you're using. On this side we go over one, under the middle, and exit with an over. And don't pull this too tight, because you want some slack in the knot, otherwise it will be complicated later on to adjust the knot. Okay, come around and go in between, over, under, and over on this side. Come in to the knot again with an under. Go over one, under one, and over one. Like that. And this completes the Gaucho knot. This is a Gaucho knot. That's the knot that the Boy Scouts use. But we will make an interweave also. So for the interweave, we go over the standing end and then go to the left of it with an under one, over one, under one, and over two. You exit with an over two. Keep your finger there and come into the knot again with an under one, over one, under two, like that, and exit with an over two. Make sure the cord is not twisted. Come around and enter the knot with an under one, over one, under two, and exit with an over two. Come into the knot again with an under one, and now you go over two, under two, and exit with an over two. Come around again, enter the knot with an under one, and then go over two, under two, and over two. And now for the final pass, we go under two, over two, under two, and over two. This completes the knot, and again we will pass the working end underneath through the whole knot parallel to the standing end. This is a very useful knot for many kinds of projects. So you can remove the rubber band, and now we will transfer this knot to the spool core of this knot, like that. Now you will again tighten, starting from the standing end. Again, I recommend you to tighten little by little. Don't try to pull too much from the beginning. Just follow your weave until you exit on the other end. As before, I've sped up this part of the video just to save time. But I'm doing the tightening process 3 times on this knot to get it really tight and round around the core that I'm using here. And here you have to be really, really careful not to twist the flat cord when you pull it through. This is the end of the 3rd tightening round. You can see how it looks like now. It's not very even still, but it's tight. I'm going to cut these ends as tight as I can, as close as I can to the knot, to the weave. And then I will roll this knot. You can roll it with your hands on a flat surface or between 2 wooden boards. That will make, this is important because it will make the knot look so much nicer and more even. You can see the difference here. I need to cut some of this excess cord away because I really want as little as possible here, because I don't want the ends to be seen, really. So then when I've cut away as much as I can, I'm going to cinch it with the lighter very carefully so I don't damage the knot, like that, and try to push it inwards to make it disappear. The other end actually disappeared in the rolling process. So here is the ready bead. On this one I've used a metal core just because it looks nicer. So I'm going to put this bead now that I've prepared on top of the core, and including the working end of the Aztec button knot, because that will tighten it a bit or attach it better to the whole project. And I will also use the excess 550 cord from the Aztec button knot to tighten the knot that will be inside the next bead. So I'm using this, and I'm making the core for this bead by doing what I call a rosary knot. I'm just rolling this, I'm rolling this around my finger once, twice, and then take the working end through the knot, and then slowly pull it tight and pushing it down towards the base, like that. That's another good knot to know. Now I can cut the excess 550 cord and cinch the end with the lighter. Very carefully though, so you don't damage anything. Like that. So this little rosary knot will keep the demon head bead that I'm using in place on top of the earlier bead that we made with the spool. So I'm pulling this through my bead with the help of a small piece of thinner cord. I'm having a piece of micro cord here. Pull it through. Now you can see we're halfway through the project now, or more than half. And just the last piece here left now, where we will make a double DNA weave. But for that we need to mount this lanyard on the jig. So I'm making a small knot on the excess cord here that will allow me to attach it more easily to my jig. And I put one end up here and the second one down here, and extend the jig so I get it tight like that. And now I'm going to use 2 strands of microcord, one black and one gray, which I will use I will use them both to make the double DNA weave. I use about 1 meter of each color, but it depends, of course, how long your lanyard is going to be and how much space you want to leave for the possibility of attaching it to a knife with a cow's hitch later. So take whatever color you want to start with, it doesn't matter. Find the middle and start making a normal cobra weave. Start underneath and go over, take the other end around and below and up in the loop like this. And we will make all the knots to the same side. That's the difference. That's what makes this knot twisting instead of behaving like a normal cobra weave. So I take the second color now, attach it somewhere, we can push it down towards the bead later. I take now my gray cord and do the same knot to the same side, like that. Finding the middle so I don't waste too much cord. And then I'll decide that one color will go above and the other color below. So in my case, the gray one is going above and the black one is going below. So I continue now doing the same half cobra weave to the same side. And now on top, I do this one, the gray, same way, put that away, and do the black interchangeably like this. And just keep track on which cord you're using. You interchange the colors and let the knot twist naturally, because it will be twisting the lanyard as you move upwards towards the end. You can see how I'm interchanging the two colors and always using the gray on top of the black and keeping the black below the gray, but doing the same kind of knot always. I'm speeding up this process and you can see how the knot is turning and twisting as we go along. So your task here is just to keep making the same knot no matter how the end result is twisting, because that's how it should look like. You can see it starts to look like a DNA weave here with two colors. Okay, so continue doing that until you have maybe 5-6 centimeters left of your lanyard core. More or less like this. Now we can remove it from the jig. We take away the jig and put it somewhere. You can push the whole weave down towards the bead just to make it more tight and stable. And now we can cut and cinch the ends of the microcord. But first we'll remove the jig. And now I'll cut these microcords, but making sure I'm leaving 1 or 2 millimeters on each end, because I want to melt them to stop the knotting to unravel. Like that. And now I will melt the ends carefully, like that. That seals this part of the knotting. Okay, now the only thing that's missing is the whipping on the two ends of my lanyard. So on top here I will use the excess black microcord. I put it like this and go around itself, back and over itself, and then go a few passes around the core like this. I'm doing 4 or 5 passes here. Pull out a little bit of the slack there and then go with this end through the loop that I've made and pull it tight and lock it in place by pulling the standing end that you had below. This is a whipping. It's a sailor's technique to keep larger ropes from fraying. So you can melt these little ends here carefully, and then you can move the whole knot down towards your double DNA weave that we just made with the same microcord. Like that, it looks nice as an end. And we're going to make the same whipping, but with the other color, the gray color, around all these three cords that stick out on the end here. So take the gray excess microcord, double it down over itself like this, keep it in place with your thumb here, and go 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds around the core, pull out the excess, and then put the working end through the loop and lock it by pulling the standing end like this. You can see what it looks like here. And then you can cut and cinch the ends here, leave 1 millimeter or so, burn it to lock the knot, and then you can move the knot as close as possible to the Aztec button knot by pulling all these excess cord, moving the whipping down towards the Aztec button knot. And once it's safely in place, you will cut and cinch these excess here as well. I'm leaving about 1 millimeter because I want them to melt together. And this is the finishing touch of our knife lanyard. I hope this video has been useful for you. If you have any comments, please just let me know by email, WhatsApp, comments, whatever. Thanks for watching. See you later.